look like an absolute mess right now. And that's because I'm in conspiracy mode. You wanna know something interesting that I found out recently? Something about Netflix. Have you noticed something weird about Netflix? It seems like ever since they started making their own originals that they've gotten a bit controversial. Shitty trailers, terrible movies and shows, and questionable tweets. Feel like they're making people mad on purpose. But for what reason do they have to do something so stupid? Or is it stupid? Play that Vsauce music, baby. Let's take a look at the use of rage marketing and whether or not it worked for Netflix. Is that a real term? Or did I make that up? Guess we'll never know. There are so many examples of Netflix using all kinds of different tactics to make people mad. The first tactic we're going to talk about today is misleading trailers that make something look exceptionally bad. Like recent example being the teaser to the Q Force, which made it seem like it was exploiting the LGBT by showcasing a bunch of offensive stereotypes that I cannot show. But the second trailer came out and it actually looks decent. Like it looks respectable and could be a good representation of the LGBT. It's not out yet, but looking at both trailers is like apples and oranges. You may think that it's some kind of exception due to the topic at hand being so delicate and whatnot, but there are other examples. Like Cuties. Remember Cuties? The trailer made it look like it was a movie that exploited children and made everyone absolutely disgusted until the movie came out and everyone forgot about it. And keep in mind, I haven't watched the movie, but I have watched explanations of what happens in the movie, so keep that in mind when I give you the information about it. But from what I've heard, children are still exploited, but it's not as marvelous as the trailer makes it out to be. Either way, the people involved should still go to jail because it's still child exploitation, and I hate everything about this movie. And I also totally forgot about Dear White People, but I would rather not talk about that for a lot of reasons. Anyways, let's talk about the other tactic. The entertainment itself, or should I say the content, being iconically cringy. For example, Tall Girl. Remember that shit got memed to hell and back with just one line. Kind of reminds me of what people did with Bird Box. You know, and that was also, keep in mind, Bird Box is a Netflix movie, kind of. It's not like, it was released on, okay, you get the point. You know, those memes got people intrigued, and the movie itself had a huge viewership on Netflix. And I feel like the memes for Tall Girl were more of like a getting people to hate watch it more than like watch it out of curiosity. Either way, it gets people more interested to figure out what is even happening in the first place with both movies I just mentioned. I mean, there's no way someone wrote that one line mentioned earlier. There's no way someone wrote that line and thought it wasn't problematic whatsoever. Let's be honest here. There's no way. The premise itself is ridiculous and very mean-spirited to just tall women in general. But that's that. Move on. The 13 Reasons Why is a show that's basically just a checklist filled with controversial events that would get them more press. The concept of the show is already over the line in terms of controversy, but they pretend that it's all about conversation. It's not like it got milked for 4 more seasons, which each season having some kind of identity crisis that only worsens as the show progresses, but whatever. The last tactic I want to go through is pandering, but on social media. So what Netflix does is they do what other brand traders do, and they go tweet weird shit for people to go like,
oh, how quirky, they're just like me.
But Netflix has gone in some weird directions. They have gone in some weird directions before. And the direction I want to talk about is the fact that they pandered to furries. As a furry myself, why would you ever pander to the furries? Like, here's some of the tweets that Netflix made, and you could tell they did their research because of how fucking like sexual these tweets are. You're in a Beastar's love triangle and have to make a choice. Which good boy do you go with? The smooth deer or the musky husky? I mean, do I really, like, the fact that they use musky, like, that is such, like, a furry term. It hurts. It honestly hurts that brand Twitter is using it, but at the same time, it makes so much sense for them to use the term musky. But that's not even the worst of it. To prepare for Beastars, I called the zoo to learn about animals, but they hung up when I asked, can wolves get depression from being too horny? I don't even, like, I don't, the, you know, God, man, I don't, like, the many times I've read this, I still don't know what to say about that tweet. Like, do I need to say anything at all? It's such a weird tweet to make. And for what reason? Like, that one doesn't even make any sense. Pandering to furries just doesn't make any sense in general, but, like, God, man, I don't know what to do anymore. This is supposed to be fun. Sorry, I'm getting way off track. It just makes me uncomfortable with how many corporations pretend to be people for clout. But that's for another video, so I'm gonna hold that for then. Now, let's talk about whether or not these tactics actually worked. Q-Force. It isn't out yet, but Cuties has some interesting statistics that I think you want to hear. A poll conducted by Screen Engine found over half of the people were watching it because of the controversy. So Netflix makes people watch out of curiosity by making the trailer seem like it's the worst thing ever when it's not. Because more of the poll shows that 72% of the viewers call a hyposexualization overblown. Now, whether or not that's true is up to you, or I guess the people watch the movie. Not me, because I would never watch something as weird as that. But all I'm saying is that many people have only heard about Cuties because of how controversial it was. Tall Girl received over 40 million views alone, and I know that's not only because it was a meme, but that definitely impacted some people to, like, hate watch it or to see what the fuss was about. Millions of people watched 13 Reasons Why, and it was exposed to so many of us when schools decided to shout it out for no reason. Like, that's not a joke either. Like, so many schools were against that show, and that really only fed more fuel to the fire, because literally that's how I got hooked on 13 Reasons Why. I never thought it was a good show, by the way. It was a train wreck. It's like a car crash. You can't take your eyes off a car crash. That's literally what it is. Like I said, that show got even more seasons, and the show only got more controversial so they could get more people to tune in to see exactly what happens in it. Like how later seasons include depictions of school shootings, sexual assault, murder, and abortion. That's only scratching the surface of the many topics that show goes over in the worst way possible in this teen drama. But it definitely got people reeled in for a little bit, kinda. I mean, there's only so long you can keep people engaged with shit like that before they get tired of it all. Me. But yeah, that's basically it. Conclusion, is rage marketing a thing? Or is that BS that I made up from speculation? I looked it up and it's actually not a thing at all. So what the hell have I been talking about this whole time? Well, technically the concept does exist, but all of these examples have really been different in their own ways. You know, to get people talking about these shows and movies that nobody would have ever noticed before if they just made regular trailers out of these movies. This may be getting more and more out of my field of expertise because it's getting more into how, like, psychology is and how the human brain works, and I don't care. But it's definitely something to think about. Interesting? Not really, but you know, it is interesting. Wait, no, it's not. I just said it wasn't, you know, whatever. Is it a coincidence or am I grabbing stuff out of my ass? I guess we'll never know. Ooh.